3. There we are. It's live. So Will and me, Robert, are pairing another time on the issue to get rid of this login window, right? So you go on the application, you go on Find Broadcast, and boom, there it is. And we want to make it less obtrusive. And we already paired on that, and we've written some acceptance tests for the front end. And I would like to sync with you, Will, because while I was writing the tests, I found out that the way how impressions are created in the backend can be optimized. And I already wrote the acceptance test according to that new behavior, I would say.
Okay.
Right? And I can show it to you right now. I'll just share my screen again. Enter a screen. Whoops. This one here. Yeah, we cannot use Screen Hero, unfortunately, because I'm on Linux. But yeah, so I added some commits to the already existing pull request. Oh yeah, and by the way, right now, Sigu and Smago are working remote on this pull request here. I just I was joining their Hangouts.
Cool.
So there we go. So I added this. I think that was the commit, right? I think on our pairing we were writing and we were currently busy with this commit here, and I added some more commits. Let me show you what I mean. So it's closable already, and also there's no check. It will not open when you visit the Find Broadcast page. It will only.
Okay, it will not open. Okay.
Yeah. So here it's checking if you're not authenticated. Boom, there it is, and that's now gone. And it's this acceptance test we were working on, I think. So we had said, like, when I'm not authenticated, I visit the URL find-broadcasts. It should not show the login dialog, right?
Yeah.
But if I click on the support button, there it is. Yeah, it's currently expecting a message. The message is to keep access to your data. So that was basically when you go on the site and I'm not logged in, I click on Find Broadcast or Participate Now. This one here.
It's looking for that.
Yeah, right now it's looking for that. And yeah, so I'll quickly. So I just set up the. I will run the front-end tests. In order to do so, I will stop screen sharing and show you my terminal. This problem again. Too many windows. Share. So. You can see my terminal, right? Go to the front-end folder. And let's say Ember test. That's, by the way how you can run front-end tests. Ember test --serve or server, as you wish. Hit enter. It's currently installing some dependencies, so that's probably not going to work. Yeah, I'll just stop it because it's currently, I just pulled in the latest master and some front-end dependencies are missing, so we have to wait for a couple of seconds. In the meantime, I can just show my screen again. So what did it change? So yeah, it's expecting this message. Click on the next button, should at least not Yeah, send requests to the backend. So this is how you do it. Here we just expecting that we don't have any requests like create or update requests to the backend, only get requests.
Yep.
It just expect that impressions update mock is never called. What is impression update mock? Impression update mock is this one here. That's a special method of Ember Data Factory Guy. Ember Data Factory Guy. It's a test plugin for Ember, and it helps you to create factories. Have you ever used factories in Rails, Will?
No, I've used factory functions in JavaScript.
Ah. So factories, or this particular plugin, Factory Guy, is resembling another gem for Rails, which is called Factory Girl. And I think the name of Factory Girl, I once looked it up. I was always wondering, like, Factory Girl, what the heck? Like, what was that about? And indeed, Factory Girl has to do something with Andy Warhol. Yeah, so this is a film, Factory Girl. So she has to do something with Andy Warhol. I have no idea why they called it like that, but there's this game, Factory Girl. Oh, Factory Girl, yeah, I know. It's very popular. It helps you to create records in the database. So you're usually testing something and you're expecting some state in the database. Factory Girl helps you do this.
Okay.
And this is basically the same thing for Ember, and it's called Factory Guy.
Okay. Yep. So it's mocked database.
It's a mock database. And also it not only creates factories, it has also some convenience methods to mock and update, for example. And you can, for example, let's say you have a user profile and right, so it's mocking an update to the user profile. So user here is currently doing something. What is he doing? A save. So you have a profile and you call save. And that will succeed because you're mocking the backend here. So that is how we mock the backend. And you can also check how often this mock was called, which is convenient for us because we can use it and expect it to be never called.
Yeah.
Which is what we want. And there we go. Now, the front-end dependencies are installed. That's I start to share my terminal again. And I say Ember test --. I have to switch back and forth so many times because I have to, what? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Bauer is installing the front-end dependencies like the auth, zero log widget, and Ember itself, I think. Yeah. Now, Ember test --self. By the way, it doesn't matter if you say serve, server, just s. I think it all works.
It looks like it's working now. Well, I'm trying to do it, but I'm getting an error about node modules appears empty.
Yeah, so then you have to do yarn install and
Yarn install.
Power install. There's nothing really interesting going on in the terminal right now. It's only this command that you have to put into, and it will open a server, and then you can, it will open a server on localhost port 7357. This one here. So localhost, yeah, that's the one. And right now the site can't be reached because the server is not ready yet. It will take some time, and then we can see those. Maybe you remember the mocker tests.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, so last time we had the screen where you have the test.
Oh, and it runs through it all, yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can remember that even there we had this auth0 log window opening.
Yeah.
Even though it was actually in test environment, which was kind of funny. So what did it actually change? Like my idea was like when you're on our side, actually, why does the front end has to send requests to the backend? Because, I mean, when I click on next, for example, it is creating records in the database because it's storing those impressions. But I was thinking like, why not create those records in the database when the backend gets the request to show those 6 broadcasts, right? So there are many requests here. There's one get requests, this one here, which just gets those 6 broadcasts. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
You can see the, let me show it to you here. Like here are the 6 broadcasts that will be shown on the site. And actually, we can actually like mark them as seen in the backend already now.
Yeah, although if it doesn't make it there, if you want to do it before, you don't know that the user actually saw it, do you, really?
No.
So there's a possibility of it not being true.
Yes.
If you mark it as seen before the user actually gets it.
Yeah, so you're right. We cannot be really sure that people really see it, but in any case, I mean, you can also just click on next, next, next very quickly, and you don't see all those broadcasts anyway, right?
Yes. Well, yeah, but that would be this. But that your solution doesn't. Okay, you're saying that doesn't. But both things would be the same, wouldn't they? Because if you're sending these things each time, do you see what I mean? What you're proposing doesn't solve that problem.
Yeah. So we cannot be sure that people actually have read all those broadcasts. Not really. So
no. So then I would say, well, don't mark them as what it means is that neutral impressions aren't meaningful. You can't trust them.
Yeah, so that's right. So it's really heuristic. Is that the correct English? It only means like maybe the user has seen it. If there's no impression, we can be pretty sure the user has never seen it.
Well, we can be 100. Oh, I
100%.
see.
Yeah. Because there are 400 broadcasts in the database.
Yeah, you can be sure that they haven't seen it if there's nothing.
Exactly. If there's nothing, you can be sure. If there's something, well, probably, but not. We cannot be really sure.
Okay, so there's some value there. Okay.
Yeah, but we cannot solve this problem, I think.
Yeah, well, you can't tell what somebody's looking at.
Yeah. There's a minor difference. So actually, when you, for example, search for something here, maybe I should search for something that exists. So that will not create impressions to the backend. If we do the other way, we will also create impressions right now. Because if the backend creates impressions for an authenticated user, it will create those for every GET request to the backend. Does that make sense?
Well, what's the value in creating the neutral impressions anyway?
Yeah, so that's a good question. That's a really good question. The value is this one here. make that English, the approval. The approval means 78% want to support that broadcast when they see it.
Oh, okay.
And there's another value in it. So we want, for example, to see what are the most popular TV and radio stations. We have this chart here, for example, and the chart is a little bit difficult to understand. I have to admit it. We see the total amount grouped by station with the blue bars.
Yeah.
And the black bars is based on the neutral impressions.
Okay.
So let's assume. So there we go. A couple of days ago, a lady who's working for a radio in Bavaria, she added a lot of broadcasts to the database. And those broadcasts belong to her radio station. It's called Pulse.
Yeah.
Now we have 6 broadcasts. That's the green line here. But not many people have seen it so far, right? Because the broadcasts weren't there when then people signed up.
Yeah.
So there's a bias. If we don't have the neutral impression, we just calculate the total amount, we will bias in favor of broadcasts that have been there a long time.
Yeah.
Right? So recently added broadcasts are performing bad or performing, how do you say it? Badly? Badly, right? And broadcasts that have been into the database a long time, they have an advantage. Does that make sense?
I think so. Yeah, I can see that so the blue bars are. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. You can see a strong correlation with the green line and the black bars, and also with blue bars. And that makes sense because if many people see a broadcast, the total amount should increase because maybe there are some people who like that broadcast and they want to assign money to it.
Mm.
Right? So first of all, the black bar correlates with the green line and and also the blue one. And because she recently added a lot of broadcasts, the green line really has a peak, sorry.
Yeah.
And yet not many people have seen it. And apparently she had also, she was probably the one who supported those broadcasts because you can see that the blue bar is a little bit longer than the black one. So maybe she told her friends to check it out and then they supported these broadcasts. I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think what things would be like with just positive. You know, if each thing had a score 1 point every time somebody clicked on it.
Yeah, you wouldn't have a reference. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, that's the difficult thing here. It's really, it was also very difficult for me to get it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, what can't you say if you just have that the score, the positives?
Yeah.
What can't you say that you can say if you have the neutral?
You would have a bias, and you couldn't tell why is a station or broadcaster performing really well. You don't understand why it's the case. Is it because the broadcast is really popular, or is it just because it was in the database for a long time already and many people have voted on it?
Okay.
And came across it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you want like you need a denominator, don't you? Yeah.
Say it again.
A denominator. You need something. You have your numerator and the denominator. You need how can I say this? Something to divide it by.
Yeah, kind of.
Or I mean, one like really simple way of doing it would be saying, well, how many days is it? You know, you divide it by days. So
yeah, but we also have
things, yeah.
some days where we have a lot of users going on the website, and other days where we have no traffic at all.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you're looking at it on a more granular. You're looking at it more closely.
Yeah.
With these.
We're really counting how often was the broadcast visible to people.
Yeah. Okay.
Like how often did they have actually the chance to vote on it?
Okay. Okay. All right.
All right. Yes, I understand. Like it's
No,
actually a good discussion right now because I'm also trying to explain the reasoning behind all this, and it's not obvious at all. Not at all. And it's good for me also because I'm kind of practicing to explain that. And maybe we can also think about how to visualize this a little bit more obvious because people, they don't understand that chart at all. Like maybe they understand, okay, more blue than black is good.
yeah.
But that's it. Yeah, it's interesting. So that one is a really small TV channel and people like it. Or that one here, that's one of the radio channels with probably the worst radio rankings of all. And it's performing really well on Rundfunk MITBESTIMMEN. That's really interesting. It's a surprise. And they make good quality. So we are creating really valuable results here. Yeah, you can check it out. Give me your feedback on that because it's a story on its own.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I always like to, challenge any complexity because, so, okay, that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess what would be really interesting would be to hear the thing that made you think that neutral impressions. What was the problem that you were facing at the time? You know, what's the real story behind it?
Yeah.
So I can get a better. I think I get it though. I think I get the idea that you need some kind of reference point.
Yeah.
Okay.
You need a reference in order to fight or in order to defeat biases.
Yeah.
Like unfair biases.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and my idea now is that you create those neutral impressions on the backend side, because the backend only returns those 6 broadcasts that are visible here. So you can safely assume, okay, let's create a neutral impression for the user as soon as you send the request back to the user, right? It's not 100% accurate, as you just told me, because who knows if the user is actually reading that stuff. For example, on mobile devices, that would look like something like this, and you have to scroll down. I don't know if people actually do it, but it's just something, right? It's better than nothing.
Yeah, well, if you put the on mobile, if you put the next button at the bottom, then they'd have to scroll down.
Exactly. That's, by the way,
it's another pull request.
It's another issue.
Yeah.
So let's see. Blup, 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 blup. Where is it? Here we go. So there's more to it. Like the layout is not nice. Yeah, and you're right. Maybe on mobile devices that should go on the bottom. So yeah, I will open another issue. That's actually a different story. Good, thank you very much. I have to put that on GitHub as a requirement. Yeah, but thing is now this URL broadcasts, which is requested, like this one here, api.rundfunk-mitbestimmen.de/broadcasts. That one is used by other viewers as well. And we don't want to create neutral impressions for that.
No.
And that's why I That's why I changed the front end spec accordingly. And I'm just adding one URL parameter to it. There we go. So I just said, if you send a parameter mark as seen true, then on the backend side, that should mark those the broadcast that will be returned to the frontend as seen. That is, create a neutral impression for it.
Yeah.
And here you can also see how we can write a frontend test for it, because now the broadcast mock is actually expecting a certain parameter, and you want it to be called at least once when you go and find broadcasts with that parameter. And this test currently fails, and it's what we want because the frontend is not doing it right now.
Okay.
Same thing here. When we click on the support button, it is creating, yeah, so this is the time. So when we are an authenticated user and we click on the support button, that should create an impression. Like, that's the inverse of this test here. It's really complicated. I can see your face. Yeah. Say something, like help me a little bit explaining it to you.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I understand how the marker scene works, and then, okay, and then the differences between an authenticated and unauthenticated. Yeah. You want to differentiate between those two because you don't want to mark it as seen if they're not authenticated.
Yes, so that it doesn't even matter because the backend knows if you're authenticated or not. The frontend can just send this URL all the time, at least for find minus broadcasts. That's no problem. The backend can only create neutral impressions if it has a user.
Yeah.
So there are two big groups. One, you are not authenticated. Another one, you are authenticated. We covered the unauthenticated part last time. And I also added the part for authenticated user.
Yeah.
That is, it should always send marker seen true, at least. And it also creates a positive impression when you click on the support button.
Yeah.
Right? And there's one more test. I don't know, have you checked the Ember guides on how to write component tests?
No, I haven't. I was going to talk to you about that.
So as in React, you have components, and you know how to pass actions down components in React, right?
Yeah.
And in Ember, it's the same stuff. So you can see how you write the handlebars syntax in Ember. So Ember differs from React because they have a template language. Ember just has strings, I would say. React has just strings, like the render method and this JSX file. And they have JavaScript and template in one file, right?
Yeah. In React, yeah.
And in Ember, it's a little bit different. You have a template file and the JavaScript file for your component in separate files.
Okay.
And the handlebars is just HTML along with curly brace, and some JavaScript in there. This is how it looks. So you just write pretty minus color. Pretty minus color is the name of the component. And then whatever state you put into the component as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's similar to React, I would say.
Yeah, with the attributes.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. And you can also add JavaScript functions to it. So color value could also be a function.
Yeah. Yeah, but it calls when it's
Yeah, so I added a component test to the pull request as well. So now, since we don't have to listen on the click on next, right? The click on next we don't care about that anymore. Right now it's creating, if you click on next, it will create impressions. That's not the case anymore. The frontend doesn't have to do this. Makes our life easier.
Yeah, okay. Because the backend is going to do it.
Yeah. Only thing, support button.
Yeah.
And so we're testing the support button component, and that's the acceptance test. There we go. So it's called decision card. Maybe you, a native English speaker, can give some feedback on naming, but yeah, it's called decision card. So you make a decision when you see the card. It's actually just, maybe it's better, it's just a broadcast card or something, I don't know. So
yeah, it depends what it is.
So the card is this piece here, like this is a card.
Yeah.
Right, and the component in our application is called decision card.
Yeah, I think and then you make a decision on it, don't you?
Yeah, maybe. Anyhow, so the test is also called decision card test. And now there is one difference. We can stop the session. The session means whether you're authenticated or not.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're authenticated, guess what happens? The login action should be called.
When you're unauthenticated.
Sorry, exactly the other way around.
Yeah.
Ha!
You've yeah, context.
Exactly. That should be unauthenticated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, okay. It should be exactly the other way around. All the rest should be if you're authenticated. Ah, yeah, it's a copy-paste error. So that should be authenticated, and further down it also says, where was it? Yeah, here, authenticated. So the entire rest of the component test is if you are indeed authenticated. And this is the part that checks whether the login action is called when you're not authenticated.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes like this. This is a function, so you can assign variables, and it can also be a function, no problem. And Ember Market has this like strange thing here. It's like, that's the test case.
Yeah.
And if you supply a parameter here, it will check if this done method is actually called. And if not, it will fail the test. I see, it's hard stuff that you're
I'm trying to relate it to the website. I'm trying to picture what it's trying to test.
It's testing, you're not authenticated. I click on support, the login action should be called. A component test is more a smaller type of test. It's the acceptance test is more on a high level.
Mm-hmm.
The component test is just testing one component.
Yeah.
The component knows if you're authenticated or not. It knows because it has the session.
Yeah.
And if you click on support, it should call whatever action you passed into the component.
Oh, and that's the done.
That's not quite. The done is, it should just be called. The login action is passed into the component. Can you see this?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
so this is the handlebar syntax. This is the decision card component, and you pass in the login action.
Yeah.
The login action itself is this function here. And when it's executed, it will also execute this done callback, and the entire test case will succeed.
Okay. So the done is just so that the test library knows that everything's gone to plan.
Exactly. So you set up some state, a broadcast, login action, cool. Then you render the component, and then you click on decision card minus support button. Right? Decision card minus support button. That's the CSS class of that button here. Like, oh yeah, that button up there. Can you see it?
Yeah.
So in the test, we're clicking on the decision card support button, and we expect this function to be called.
Yeah.
Now let's see how this looks like. So these are the front-end tests. Now the server is running. We have the acceptance test going on here. What? Where's our acceptance test? No way. Ah, I'm so stupid. Of course, I have to check out the right branch, huh?
Yeah.
It's closable login window view. Oops. What happened? Git check out. All right, so now the front-end test should change. It takes a while until the server is rebuilt. But is everything like this was hard? This was not easy stuff. Are you still okay with that so far?
I think so. I mean, I'm going to say disadvantage because I haven't been working on the code base.
Yeah.
I haven't done any work since we last
met. Yeah.
Last met. And also I'm a little bit tired as well. I know I can feel myself.
Oh yeah. So if it's too late, no problem. Like we can continue later.
Yeah, you seem very on it. But I guess it's your own code base, so you know it inside out.
Yeah. Also, I'm already familiar with front-end testing in Ember. I mean,
yeah,
it makes it a lot easier when you're familiar with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even familiar with Ember, let alone testing it. But I think you did a good job of explaining. I mean, I know React, and your things do look quite similar.
Yeah. Huh? Still not there. We have to restart the server. I'm on the right branch, am I? Possible login view. Ember test minus server. Okay, have to wait another time, but we can have a nice chat in the meantime, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. So something I wanted to talk about is, oh, I don't know. Sorry, I don't know if if it's right or not. So okay. So on my way home on Wednesday, I thought to myself that there's a lot of overlap between the projects that we're doing. In why a broadcast can be something that you donate to, and you just pick, just like you pick any other thing you want to donate to. You just pick the public broadcasts that you think are good.
Yeah.
And you actually raise money for it by then shopping with people who donate part of the transaction. So I think both projects have their place because this is about tax. Yeah, I mean, the people are already paying tax for these broadcasts, and what I'm doing is something on top of that, which is to raise funds for things that you think are important above and beyond tax. But actually, the end goal of why is to, I mean, in my mind, it's about replacing tax, because you can raise far more money by donating percents of transactions than you can by collecting tax the way it's collected now.
Yeah.
Especially if there's competition, and there will, you know, if more than one seller is using Y, then okay, so competitors both using it will be competing against each other based on how much they're donating, potentially. So you can potentially raise a lot of money that way. It just basically the competition drives up the amount that would be donated. That's all.
So where's the driving force of donating a lot?
Okay, so if I'm
the incentive,
it's the sellers want to attract more custom. So if I'm buying something and there are two sellers and one of them is donating 1% and one of them is donating 2%, all of the things being equal, I'll shop with the one that's donating 2%. So the 1% seller loses my custom. It's just like lowering your prices, but you know, people compete by lowering their prices, and then if there's a payment system where there's a donation on a payment, then you'd compete by increasing the donation.
I see. Okay, and you get a better, as a customer, you think I can donate more of the money that I'm paying. Like, yes, I'm paying the same thing, but more of it goes to non-profit or
public, the commons. Yeah.
The commons. Yeah, I see. Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, so I would say let's just do it. It sounds still very abstract. At my university, we learn a particular methodology for agile development. It's called design thinking. And design thinking is about how to set up a prototype in like a really short amount of time. And for this particular use case, it helps you to evaluate hypotheses that you have. So what we're currently talking about is your hypothesis. Yeah. People get an incentive because they can donate more shares of their price, like something like that, yeah, right? I would question that. So I would question that not by myself, me, Robert. I think that's perfectly plausible. I would just question it in general, like, let's put that on a test.
Yeah, okay.
So in design thinking, you would probably come up with some kind of paper prototype, go out in the wild, ask your neighbors, your coworkers, your people on the street, and ask them to participate in a short user survey in order to validate this hypothesis. So you learned something before you wrote a single line of code.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess in a way I have been doing that because, but just in conversation, I haven't been doing it formally.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, that sounds all right, what you're saying. Like, for me, that sounds perfectly plausible. I would feel the incentive probably because I would, yeah, why not? I would, if I have to choose between two competitors, I would probably go for the one that, puts in 20% of donation than 10.
Right.
But maybe it's just me, right? Or just you, who knows? So people are usually not honest when they give you feedback. If you ask for feedback, do you think that's a great idea? Then they all say, yeah, of course. It's amazing. Would you use it? And they say, yes, I would definitely use it. Yeah. Then you develop it, and it turns out nobody is going to use it. Like, yeah.
So I have spoken to sellers who say that they are interested in using it, like you say. But so how can, I mean, you can never know if someone is going to use something until you've made it and you've offered it to them and they take it or leave it. So I feel like well, okay, so I have built, I mean, I do have I'm building out something that I hope that I'll be able to offer.
Mm-hmm.
And then see how it goes from there, and base the feedback from that, I think, because I've had plenty of conversations with people, and they're happy about it. So now I'm actually making it, and I'll see.
Yeah. Let me show you something. I actually made a short presentation of the prototypes for Rundfunk MITBESTIMMEN. I was at the Ruby users group here in Berlin. By the way, where are you actually living?
Nottingham.
Nottingham. Oh yeah, nice. England.
Yeah.
Like everybody has the association of the sheriff of Nottingham. Anyhow. Yeah.
Yeah.
But here in Berlin, I created, yeah, that's the one, a presentation of our prototypes. And I just wanted to show you what the success was. So fairly often start with paper prototypes. And I should quickly introduce the idea of the application, right? So let just people distribute their feeds for public broadcasting on the internet. And my 3 prototypes were, okay, write down a table, like everybody should just write down a table, I want to give that and that amount for this title.
Mm-hmm.
And you just fill in this table. Or you have a pie chart and you can drag the borders of the pie chart in order to increase or decrease the different shares of, let's say, genres of broadcasts, like groups of broadcasts.
Yeah.
Or you have a full-fledged TV magazine and you can highlight broadcasts that you want to support.
Yeah. Okay.
And I did exactly that. And it was really interesting. So the first thing I discovered, that is, for example, a result of prototype number 1. Like there was a person who had 15 minutes to write down broadcasts he liked, and he came up with exactly 2. Like, oh, that's actually a radio station already. So there's just 1 broadcast that he knew he wanted to pay for. So people have no ideas what they want to support.
Yeah, so that's why it's so. Okay.
So my hypothesis was, yes, everybody knows what he or she wants to support, and now it was wrong. People have no idea. You have to give them suggestions. Second prototype, the pie chart. Yeah, people loved it because it took it went really quick. That's, for example, how they did it. So they want to give 20% to news, 20% to politics, education, documentary, comedy. And that should all be 100% in total. Is it actually 60, 75? Yeah, sums up to 100%. And the problem here was like, what is actually comedy, like, or entertainment? What is it? Like, is it good or bad entertainment? Obviously, you only want to support the good entertainment. So you must be specific. That doesn't work either. Like, they like it because it goes quick, but they don't like it because it's very vague.
Yeah.
And prototype number 3 was just too much. Like, I printed out the program of 2 days, or just 1 day, I think, of all the public broadcasting TV channels. And it took for like 30 minutes or more just to go through the program of 1 day. And like, people got really annoyed and really upset. So that was just too much. So they hate them all. Like, all my 10 testers, they hated those prototypes so much. Like, I don't want to use any of those. And can we get done with this stupid user test?
Yeah.
and for several reasons. But it was great feedback because I knew what to do. Like, first of all, you have to give suggestions. Then we must be specific, and it must be short. Like, you should get to the you need to get to the profile page where you can then distribute your budget, and that should take not more than 22 minutes. And that's why you immediately get, after you found 3 broadcasts you want to support, the application tells you, hey, you can distribute your budget now.
Okay, so I the way I thought about this is, I don't think that sitting people down and asking them on the spot what do they want to do. I mean, imagine doing the same thing for things you want to pay taxes for. It's not feasible. It's not. I mean, and it's also not how these things were decided historically. They're all based on things that happen, and then their solutions to problems that nobody's actually sat down and thought, okay, what do we need to spend tax on? It just evolves, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the whole reason why we do this, the purpose is just to make a showcase. And the goal is probably different of why and Rundfunk MITBESTIMMEN.
No, what I was going to say was the way that I've solved it with why is just that you can just add something at any time. So whenever you witness or experience something that's good, like say that you get better in a hospital, then they would then just to make it as easy as possible for somebody to say this is important.
Yeah, I mean,
and so you could do the same thing with your application, couldn't you? You could have a way at the beginning for them to just type in the name of the program they just watched that they liked, and then for it to find it, because that's when they'll know exactly what they like. Is that they've just seen something that they like, and then they want to say that was good, I want that again. So it's like a like button for a broadcast, but instead of, you can't press it on the TV screen, but this is what your application would do.
Yeah.
So rather than asking them to come to your website and rank things based on their memory, you want them to come to your website because they've just seen something and they want more of it. That's the most reliable way, and it's also the most natural way to get information about what things people like. And it's just a
yeah. I mean, from the current experience, people come to the website because they just got a link, and people they immediately get the idea and they want to participate. Like, yes, of course. Like, why is it not there yet? Like, of course I want to distribute my money, and they would just want to. They are curious and they want to try it out.
Okay, so that would be the first time that you visit the website, and you might click a few things to based on memory.
Yeah.
But then after that, the way people will use it is they will see a program, or they'll think about a program just in their daily life, unprompted by the application, and then they'll go, oh, there's that application, I could go on. And then what they want to do is to go onto that website, type in the name of the broadcast and like it.
Yeah. So they want to update their the collection of broadcasts they want to support. That's correct. Yeah. So if the application would have a real effect, like right now it's just data that's published on the internet, and if it would have a real effect, like if it would be real money, like in the case of Y, you could, for example, send every month the money that was collected at that month to the producers of the content of the broadcasts, and people would have every month the like a certain date where this happens, and next month they can decide, or they can change their mind again, because people have to pay on a monthly basis.
Well, you'd want them to be able to change their mind in real time, and then it would just pay out every month, I guess.
Yeah, they can always change their mind, like in real time. That's correct. And we are not there yet because it's a political decision that we don't have the authority for, right? We just want to show it. Okay, here you go. The whole application is actually a prototype by itself. It's showing, it's proving things, like it's proving some hypotheses. Like I was optimistic that people can be competent. Do you know how many people from public broadcasting don't feel like the audience can assess quality? Like it's crazy. Like they just think they're the only people who actually can really assess the quality that they're producing.
Okay.
Like they're almost afraid of putting that decision to the audience. Like they just see the TV rankings and they see, okay, they even confuse Rundfunk Mitbestimmen with TV rankings. TV rankings, they favor trashy content like soaps and all that stuff. And it's the two worlds couldn't be more different, because on Rundfunk Mitbestimmen, people really reflect the decision and they think about what they want to support. And there's so many people in public broadcasting who just don't believe it, right? And if you have the data, they can show it here. Look at that. It's there. That's the proof. Like people are actually competent to make decisions, and they differ from TV rankings. It's not the same. Like that's the goal of this prototype, and also like communicate this whole idea. Like tell people you can be competent enough. And together we can also change things. Just the data out there may change the minds of the producers, because maybe they have the TV rankings, but now they also have our data. And the next time they cancel a show, they think about it like, are there many people out there on Rundfunk Mitbestimmen who really like that broadcast, even if we have bad TV rankings for it? Maybe we should think about canceling it. And that creates the impact, the influence that I'm trying to create. Because you don't even need to have this real effect, as long as the data kind of convinces the producers just to keep it on the air, or just to produce more similar like that, right?
Yeah.
And making it real, like connecting it to real money would be the next step. That would also attract even more users, because then they have the feeling like, wow, I can really distribute my real money. But that is something in 5 years or something, or 10 years, when they decide if like this is successful, let's put that into the law or something. But it's way back from, it's long future. It's I don't expect this ever to happen in, I don't know, next few years. But in the next year, we can definitely prove that people really like to distribute their budget.
Yeah. Yeah. No, okay. My thought is just that you want the website to work well with the person who knows about your website because they've been to the link or whatever.
Yeah.
But then they want to, that they're actually watching something and they go, this is really good. I want to put this on the website. I want to press support on the website. So it's, and I think you should optimize for that. Because I think that's how this website will be used in practice. Because nobody wants to do those kind of the kind of things that you ask them to do in those tests, which is to sit down and decide. It's more about, is there something that I can, when I do find something I like, can I declare that I like it? That's a much more natural way to use something. And I mean, those the methods that you had before were relying on the idea that people had watched lots of programs. So it was based on their history and their memory. Whereas you know, what about somebody who's never watched a program before, a new German citizen, for instance? You want them to know about the website, but not necessarily even visited it, but you want them to know about it, and then they know that when they see something good, they can go on here and it's optimized for that.
Yeah. I mean, that's also possible, by the way. People don't necessarily need to know that broadcast or ever watched it in order to support it, right? You're paying for things, but you just think, okay, that's good value. It sounds interesting, like it's a show for children, or it's a documentary, or it's investigative journalism. Yes, of course, I want to give money for my money for that because I myself found it valuable. You can also give money to trash broadcasts if that's really what you want to support. It's up to people. That's democracy. We cannot stop people from voting nonsense. But it turns out that people like to give money to broadcasts that don't even watch. So they go through the website. When they see suggestions, they immediately can, like within a few seconds, they say, okay, I want to support that because I know that's broadcast and it's good. But also, it doesn't take much longer in order to make a decision if you don't know the broadcast. That's surprising, but it's true. Like they support broadcasts that maybe they have heard about but never seen, or maybe they read the description and think, well, I like that. Or they see, okay, that's Arte and they are producing good content always, and I want to support it. It's like, maybe the only thing I want to tell you for why is listen to the users and don't think too much up front, and don't think about what you would do, because in the end, human people are always different. Like they never do what you expected them to do.
Yeah, I understand.
And there were so many false hypotheses already. Like I just told you 3 with those 3 paper prototypes, which turned out all to be really bad ideas. But thank God, I mean, I found it out very, very early in the beginning, so I didn't follow the original idea. Like originally, I was thinking like, we just have a table and that's it, and people can just type in what they want. And now, yeah, you give them suggestions, basically something like Tinder. Like you see one broadcast, and now you see 6 broadcasts at a time, and you can say, yeah, I want to have that one, next one, and so on. And yeah, so many false hypotheses. I don't know, does anything come to my, like, really relevant come to my mind right now? So there is some good news. People from broadcast help to add data. That happened a couple of days ago.
Yeah,
that's great, right? User-generated content, it works.
And yeah, no, it's great. The big difference is that you have users already, which is great.
It doesn't take a long time. So most people, you need 4 minutes in order to get to the point where they distribute their budget. So there was an incident where people put the link on Reddit. Like that's the reason why we have so many supporters for the show Game 2. And the guy who posted the link had the search query of Game 2. So you go on the website and you immediately, basically you see this. So he searched for Game 2. And you can share that link with the search parameter up there. And then you only see this particular broadcast.
Yeah.
And hundreds of users signed up only to give all their money to that broadcast.
Yeah, okay.
And they never came back, and they never tried to find anything else they want to support.
Yeah.
That's also something we have to take care of, right? So maybe we'll send out emails to users and tell them, hey, there's more to see, like there's more to discover. Maybe you want to get back to the application, find some more broadcasts you want to support.
Yeah, so then it starts to get... All I'm really suggesting is that on the front, you have that search box on the front page. It's the only difference it would make is 1 click, so it's probably not a big deal. But on the front page, if you just remember the name of the website, which is all you can expect people to remember, then they'd come to the front page and they wouldn't be able to type in the thing that they've come for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just assuming in this use case of, oh, I just saw something really good on TV, I want to support it. or oh, this person, or I just read about something in a Facebook post, and yeah, this is a good TV show, I want to support it.
Yeah.
It's just you have to look around a bit. Oh, look, okay, find broadcasts. It's not a big deal.
So you're suggesting that we should put this view on the first page?
At least a search box. At least a search.
Yeah, I actually like that idea. Yeah.
You could even just turn the find broadcasts. Well, no, you could. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I'll think about that. It's actually a good idea. Yeah. Why not? I mean, more clicks means
right. That's what I'm going. Yeah.
More things to do. So yeah, why not just show a random selection of broadcasts right on the first page? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you could do it. That's another step, but yeah, you don't want to harm your front page.
You mean that you just make this more visible, like the find broadcast stuff?
Well, if I was going to the website with the name of a program in my head,
yeah,
what I would like to do on the front page is search for it, is to click something, type it in and press enter, and then for it to pop up.
Okay, just a search bar.
Yeah,
and then you get to the next page again. Yeah, why not?
And you can go from there, because once your first job is to get that word in your head out of your head into the system and to see if it's on there or not.
Right.
That's what you're trying to do.
That's definitely a use case. So the only thing if I put it right here there in the middle, I would expect people to have an idea, and most people don't. But there are people who have, like those people you're talking about. They just watch something and they want to support it. They want to go to that application. Right. Yeah. Definitely. And I think those users will increase, because at some point people know, oh, this application exists, and they know the purpose of it.
That's what I mean.
Never used it because they thought, why not? Why should I?
Yeah. In the long term, that is the use case for it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because things will come up in your life one by one. You won't. That's how you will. That's nature, isn't it? Not all programs will come up at once.
Yeah. Yeah, great. So that was a long discussion. It was a very valuable discussion. And actually, I would even say let's call it a day for now, because we're talking for a long time now. And I think you're kind of tired.
I am a little bit tired, yeah.
And
I'm probably too tired to do any technical work.
Yeah, so I would just say let's call it a day. Good part is I think you know the different behavior now, like the behavior of the backend, how the backend will.
Yeah.
So that's good, because then you understand the front-end test.
Yeah.
And I would say from here on, it's easy for you if you just check out the guidelines of Ember and see how front-end tests are working and how Ember components look like. That's very well documented. And now, finally, we have the front-end tests running. And the only thing I want to show you is that the failing assertions are failing in a way we want them. Like here, it's expecting empty string to keep access to your data, because it's expecting a CSS class and it can't find it. So it's empty string. The text of a non-existing node is empty string. And here you can see, okay, we have 12 requests to the backend, and we are expecting 0. That's good. That's the mock update, if you can remember. We're clicking on next button, and that means we're creating the impressions on the backend side.
Yeah.
So it's just expecting, it's failing for the right reason.
Right reasons, yeah.
Yeah, and here it never gets called because it's waiting for the parameter. If the parameter is not given, the mock server will not catch it.
Yeah.
And that's why it's never get called, because this parameter is missing. Same here. We're expecting when we click on the support button and we authenticate it, that should create the impression.
Yeah. I mean, I like the idea of test-driven development. It does seem though that a lot of these tests are they're highly coupled to the way that the application is at the minute. It just seems that it's very brittle, and if you change the design of the website, like say with this new use case of people coming to it, just trying to change that. Maybe over time, though, I guess your tests get more and more robust as you. I don't know.
I had the same feeling like you. So first of all, it makes sense the reason why the tests are failing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I will stop that one. I had the same feeling like you. Can perfectly. I know what you're talking about. I was thinking like writing all those unit tests, and if you ever want to do a refactor, good luck rewriting those unit tests.
Yeah.
So, if you have a well-maintained application, you don't have to rewrite so many unit tests. It's just, I know it by experience. Like,
okay,
when you have a well-maintained project, now you don't have to refactor so many tests.
Yeah.
You have to sometimes change the tests. So there's one pull request that just changed the title of the login window to passwordless login, just to communicate. People were sometimes confused. Why don't I have to put in a password, right?
Yeah.
And then the test is failing. So sometimes you have to change that, but for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But in general, it's not so much effort, really. I can assure you that when you start with test-driven development, you can write as many unit tests as you want. Sometimes you have to change it, but it's really not a big deal, and it's really straightforward to change it. It doesn't distract you. I never felt angry about writing it, or never regretted having written a unit test.
Okay.
But let's say you're working on a legacy test case. Say company X is hiring you, and the time before you got hired, people wrote software without tests. Now your job is to, because you're a good developer, you're trying to write tests for this legacy code base. That will make a difference because you're going to refactor a lot probably, or you want to change certain things. And now it's maybe a bad idea to write unit tests because you just want to keep the user interface as it is. That's the only constant you can rely on. And everything below that is probably going to change because there's so much bad code and legacy code and stuff you need to refactor. And then my suggestion is not to write unit tests, but high-level tests. Capybara test, for example, where you test the entire application from the presentation layer. I had this particular task already, so I talk a little bit about experience. So I was working in a company, and they had a lot of like a huge legacy code base. The developers weren't stupid. The developers were just not allowed to write tests. Why? The manager said it's a waste of time. Seriously,
Yeah.
seriously. I came into that company, I couldn't believe it. And I said, no, I'm writing tests. The code that I'm contributing to the code base should be tested. Like, I just denied, or how do you say? It's actually correct English, right? I just denied that policy of not writing tests.
Yeah.
I refused, that's the correct word. And I wrote tests. So I was the first one writing tests, and after that, more and more people were kind of allowed to write tests because the code quality was so bad, and by that we had so many bad follow-ups from our customer. Like our customer was really dissatisfied. So, and then it's really necessary to write high-level tests because you don't want to write unit tests that are highly coupled with this legacy code base. That's definitely not what you want to do. But if you are starting from scratch and you're writing test-driven development, do unit testing. It's great, and you will never regret it.
Okay. Yeah, I think I see that. I can see the idea that you want to keep a legacy system the same to the user as much as possible whilst you're refactoring, in order to change the system so that you can have the features that are required.
Yeah, the only difference is you're anticipating a lot of refactoring. In the situation where you're anticipating a lot of refactoring, don't use unit tests. In a situation where you don't anticipate so much, you can perfectly write unit tests, and it's a good idea because unit tests are fast in execution, and you can write a lot of them. It will not slow down your build server.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of use tests as a way to hold on to one part of the code whilst you change.
Okay.
Picture it.
So as a last present to you, I show you one more image. So I had another talk at the Ember meetup here in Berlin, and I talked about full stack testing with Ember and Rails. And that was, yeah, so I showed one slide was about the so-called testing pyramid. That's one you can see here. Yeah. And it shows the different types of tests. Can you say caliber in English if you want to refer to a gun?
Yeah.
So I sometimes say there are different test calibers. Like either you have a rocket launcher or you have like a small and sharp knife.
Yeah.
And the rocket launcher would be the full stack test, whereas the sharp knife would be the unit test.
Yeah.
And so we have, for example, here the front end on the left side and the back end on the right side. And full stack tests are on top of those because they are testing the entire stack.
Yeah.
And if you go down the testing pyramid, the advantage is that tests are fastening or getting more and more fast in execution, but the test confidence is also decreasing. So a full stack test will likely break if you just make one mistake, or if you want to just introduce one bug into the code. That will likely fail a full stack test because it's just so many parts that are on the test. So ideally, your test suite should somehow look like this. You have some full stack tests and a lot of unit tests, right? And there are integration tests. For example, a component test in Ember is an integration test.
Yeah.
And the acceptance test, for example, for the backend would be a request, an HTTP request. That is already an acceptance test for just the backend. And then you have the end-to-end or full stack test, which is testing both backend and frontend at the same time.
Yeah.
And to show you the truth, so this is the ideal state, and the truth in our application currently looks more like this. Like there, at that time when I gave the talk, there were no acceptance tests for Ember at all, and there were some unit tests, more of them in the backend, and just a lot of full stack tests because I was more familiar with writing tests for the presentation layer for the browser.
Yeah. Interesting. I've been quite resistant in dividing tests between unit and integration, and where are the boundaries and things. I'm still struggling with that a bit. But I guess that's something that it becomes clear to you as you write more of them. You start to see the different classes.
I like the metaphor of using a weapon, like
yeah,
having a big task, and you can like just make a big shot and boom, there it is. Or you have like a lot of small knives and you can be very careful. And
Yeah. So what I hear about unit tests though is that you want to map them to a use case. So each unit test should be for one use case.
no, the
That doesn't.
acceptance test is for one use case.
Okay.
The unit test is the smallest type of test that you can have, and it usually just tests method of an object, for example.
Yeah, but then I would never just test one method on its own.
You wouldn't. I do it all a lot.
Because then it's like, well, what should I test each statement inside the method? Like, why test the method? See, to me, it always has to be, is this something that my user will care about?
No, not your user, but maybe your coworker.
Yeah. So okay, so I don't have coworkers, but okay. I'm developing. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that I'm right. I don't know that I'm right at all. I'm not saying that. I'm just I'm trying to justify when I write a test. I'm trying to justify it in my own mind based on what I think is going to matter.
I don't justify my tests. I just write tests and then I write the code. I'm in the state that I couldn't write code without writing tests anymore. I just feel bad. I don't know where to start. I don't have any directions. I feel confused. Tests give me safety. Like I know what I'm doing. Like I'm making a plan. There's a lot of chaos in my head, and writing tests just helps to turn that chaos into something like a specification or something. Like tests are actually helping me to write code and to make something orderly out of the mess in my head. Like I kind of developed a religious feeling towards software testing because the tests are speaking to you. Like, yeah, there's like this kind of magic. You automatically write modular code because you have to write tests for your code, right? So the tests are turning the code that you're writing just into the right packages. Like you see the interfaces, because in order to make a part of the code testable, you have to make it modular. It's basically the same thing. The tests will help you to write modular code. I couldn't write tests. I couldn't write code without it anymore. It would just be terrible. Like
So actually, one thing that in that way that has helped me a lot is to not worry about duplication. In terms of modularity, or maybe this is about abstraction. I'm not sure, but it's the same thing, isn't it?
I often write very redundant test cases, and I don't care about the redundancy in my in the code. Usually, I try to avoid redundancy in the code. Tests can be redundant, no worries, no problem. The code is just, well, it doesn't matter to me that much if the quality is good or not. I just care about are the tests passing? That's all. Like, does the software?
It's a great safety net, I think, because it's about the translation from English to code, or from German to code. That definitely, natural language to code is having some guarantee that what you I used to do comment driven development for this kind of reason.
Really?
Yeah. But having tests is way better, obviously, because then you have some kind of you have something that lives on.
Yeah, same for me. The same thing again. I don't know what I'm doing, but the tests are going to eventually tell it to me.
Yeah,
it's I treat my tests as entities, like as things I can actually interact with as a human being. Like maybe they have a soul or something, or a personality already, but I don't know what I'm doing, but the tests, they are going to help me.
Yeah, it's a codification of what you wanted to do previously. For sure. Yeah, what your idea was.
I mean, test-driven development, I'm actually very serious when I say test-driven development changed my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I also, to give you a little some more numbers, I usually write 70% of my time working on the code base, writing tests, and 30%, maybe even less, writing the production code.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I've not coded with tests really.
You should.
Yeah. No, I.
Here you go. That's the perfect opportunity. I just wrote some tests for you, and they're giving you directions. I have total faith in you if you just check out the Ember guidelines, how to write components, and then you relate that to the test cases that are already there. And then you magically know, yeah, sure, I have to just change that component and add one more a pass in an action into it and stuff.
Yeah, I can see how that would work. Yeah. Yeah.
Shall we call it a day?
Okay. Yep. Good talk.
Yeah. Right. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was.
Well then, Will, I say good night. Good night in Nottingham.
Good night in Berlin, right?
Yeah, well, Potsdam actually.
Okay.
It's very close to Berlin. It's closer to Berlin than Oxford to London, for example. You need 20 minutes by train.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. All right.
Good night.
Good night.